Good morning. It's Friday. Final 49ers practice before they fly out to Chicago, and I brought the goods for you today. Steve Young on Trey Lance, 3,000 words of good stuff ahead of the season opener on The Athletic. So I just wanted to hop on, make sure that you checked out this article. The link is in the description, and it's obviously up in the comment section as well. So just go click on that, go to the chat section. It's going to be pinned up at the top for those of you watching this later. Young on Lance, it was great stuff. We focused on so much, but Steve talked about Trey's development from the pocket, and obviously those are things that Steve is really, really familiar with since he's one of the greatest dual threat quarterbacks of all time. He had to learn how to deliver from the pocket. They even tied his legs up in practice back in the USFL, so he'd focus on not bailing and winning the anything from the short game to the intermediate game, even to the long game. He had to learn the timing and the effectiveness of throwing the football from that stationary position. And we saw Josh Allen do it last night. We saw Josh Allen win in several different ways last night against the Rams, won 26 of 31. But the short game, winning from the pocket there before he went on all those stiff arm runs, that was the key to unlocking everything. You have to have that in the NFL. And Steve Young talks about that in our interview. Young also talks about the victimization of the quarterback process. So much can happen outside your control to make things go wrong, and you could start just playing victim. And, if your offensive line is blocking poorly, which the 49ers have questions up front, if your receiver drops a pass, if the officials don't throw a flag that you need to be thrown, you could start falling into the victimization of this all. And Trey Lance has got 10,000 excuses that this won't go well, right? He doesn't have any experience at the NFL level, but the 49ers need it to go well. They need him to make progress week by week, and mentality is going to be so important as he strives to improve the necessary amount for the 49ers to be in contention the way that they expect to be in contention. Obviously, the Jimmy Garoppolo situation is one that draws a lot of headlines, and obviously Steve Young can speak to it because he was on a team that had a quarterback situation as far as depth in the quarterback room, and the 49ers ended up fine for it when they had Steve Young and Joe Montana. This is a different situation. We can't equate Jimmy Garoppolo and Trey Lance to Joe Montana and Steve Young. The resumes obviously aren't the same, but quarterback replacement, quarterback swap dynamics can be awkward regardless. So I think Young can speak to it. And he actually thinks that Young actually thinks that Jimmy can help Trey by being a sounding board. I mean, this is what we've been saying all along, but to hear it from Steve Young in this interview, I think, really verifies it from somebody who's been through a similar situation. And the 49ers have tried to foster a collaborative, strong quarterback room with both Garoppolo and Trey Lance, and they have that now. Speaking of this, Kyle Shanahan just came on to KMBR, and somebody, I think it was Brian Murphy and Kerry Crowley were doing the interview this morning. Brian Murphy asked him about the noise, the fact that the national media is going out there and saying, oh, well, the only reason that Jimmy Garoppolo is still on this roster is because they don't believe in Trey Lance. And Kyle just completely shut it down. His quote, it sounds like a fan talking, and they have zero idea of what they're talking about. Not to insult a fan or anything. Now, Kyle was on one this morning. He, probably just tired here watching the film, getting ready for the Bears game, probably needed a coffee refill. You could tell that he was very, very dismissive of some of those narratives. And he said, listen, if we're moving on from a $24 million starting quarterback in Jimmy Garoppolo. We gave the keys to Trey Lance. We weren't ready to pay Jimmy Garoppolo $24 million, so we're going to trade him. He comes available at a much lower price as a backup. Why wouldn't we do that? I mean, again, this is the stuff that we've been repeating here for a week plus at this point. It was a no-brainer to bring Jimmy Garoppolo back at that 6.5 million plus incentives. You want to be as strong as possible at the most important position. And anybody who tries to make this into something more than it is, Kyle Shanahan has this message for you. It sounds like a fan talking, and they have zero idea of what they're talking about, not to insult a fan or anything. On top of that, Shanahan said the whole captain vote is kind of a joke to me. The 49ers obviously did not vote Trey Lance a captain. He came in 7th. They selected 6 captains, and the allotment of votes made them feel that having the 6 was the right way to go. Remember, Deebo Samuel was not a captain as well. There's a lot of unrest on social media about this, but Shanahan is sitting there saying, hey, we're going to let the players vote on the captains. Trey Lance is like a rookie to us. We didn't expect him to be a captain. He fell about where we thought he would fall in the voting, and we're not going to just make him a captain. Shanahan actually said this just to make people on social media or in the media happy. We're not going to, run our captain decisions just to appease corners of the internet that aren't part of the 49ers building. And I think that's a healthy way to run an organization. If you're starting to run an organization based on what random people on Twitter want, you're probably not going to last all too long. So Shanahan addressed both things today on KMBR. He talked about George Kittle, actually said that he's still holding out hope that George Kittle is going to play on Sunday. I'm going to be headed out to the practice facility here in a few hours, and I'll have my Bears preview, as it is 49ers-Bears week, coming out today. And then obviously we'll be talking about it on YouTube. So while you're waiting for all this, make sure you subscribe to The Athletic. Check out this article on Steve Young and Trey Lance, a deep dive from Steve Young and Trey Lance. Steve really brought the goods. Talked to him for a little while, and he was really, really excited about Trey Lance because I think, some kindred spirit action going on there. Steve obviously came out of college at BYU and then into the USFL and then with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with a similar profile as Trey Lance. The ability to take games over athletically, the ability to be explosive, but the need to refine the pocket passing aspect of the game. And that's how Steve Young turned into one of the NFL's greatest of all time, the highest rated passer of all time when he did retire following that 1999 season. All right, guys, check out the articles. This has just been a quick Coffee with Lombardi update. We'll be back with you from the 49ers facility a little bit later today, and then a ton of Bears 49ers preview material is coming your way. So like the video, sub to the channel. Talk to you all soon. Enjoy Steve Young on Trey Lance.